Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Beck. I'm your professor, and I welcome you to Races of Arabia, 109-736-57-734A. One of the famous things about the Arabs was the breeding of horses. Horses go back to the days of Omar Khayyam, who was the first man to race horses. His first prize-winning horse was called Rubaiyat. They used to run him in the hot sand at Bagdad Downs. They had Arab jockeys who would wear tents and never leave the horse. They slept on top of the horse. Arabian horses were also used for kidnapping and in Hollywood westerns. Horses were usually grays until one day along came roans. The roans were a fruity family. Strawberry horses with dapples. The Arabs raised many things: figs, dates, kumquats, and harems. Many Arab leaders would have contests with each other to see who could have the most wives. In each instance, the winner would get a free trip to Las Vegas. However, if they did not get along with each other, they would exchange presents. One such exchange was made by a temperamental Abdul, who sent a beautiful man-eating cobra to a cheeky friend of his in return for a cute little black widow spider. One of the most popular games amongst the peoples of this country is Jewish chess. Instead of using bishops, they use rabbis. In raising their children, the Arabs would send them out in the sand to play. Some of the kids would never return. However, Arab families would, as another pastime, have church picnics on the banks of the Suez Canal. Of the popular vacation spots, Arab families would go to the Oasis, a beautiful mirage in the Sahara ranked uppermost. The people of Arabia were not allowed to touch salt, so therefore they conceived the idea of importing pickles to salty Arabia, and they would draw the brine out of the pickles. By the way, the name Salty Arabia was eventually changed to Saudia. Saudia was a more earthly name than salty. For years they have been trying to stuff pickles, but they just couldn't think of what they could stuff it with. An Arab princess, Lucrezia Borgia, came up with a brilliant recipe where she would stuff a pickle with chocolate halava. It makes a wonderful, wonderful dessert. It's a halava dish. Now another product which we get from Arabia is derma, from which we get derma oil. If rubbed on your belly thusly, with a twist of your finger, you may turn your navel. This has been found to be of great use to flagpole carriers to keep their poles good and smooth. Derma oil came from half-breed goats who were found wandering by shepherds in Arab hills. Many top mechanics practice with derma oil, and they are referred to as dermatologists. Most creative Arabs become jazz musicians. One musician, Yosef Ben Nasser, is said to be the composer of the country's national anthem, the Sheikh of Araby. Another one of his compositions written for the olive growers of Saudi Arabia, Local 657, was Olive You Truly. For the Arab women, it's different. Their mothers insist they marry well and join a harem, or as an alternative, they become belly dancers. As far as the men, they must either become horse traders or kumquat stuffers. Many years ago, an Arab writer put together his experiences in book form and tried to sell it to Random House. He wrote of the nightlife of the Arabian people, their bed bugs and water pipe smokers. He couldn't come up with a title and was picked up 2 years later with 39 burglars on a theft charge. But the name of Ali Baba lives on. His book has recently become world famous under the name of The Arabian Nights, or 1001 Stories That No One Would Ever Believe. General life is divided amongst the Arab people. They divide themselves into tribes. The Cherokee, the Apache, and the Iroquois. The Arab children have been exposed to many forms of literature. Jungle Jim meets Sultan Sam, Exodus in Pocket Edition, Mohammed meets Bridget Bardot, and the Quran limited edition with illustrations by Alexander King. Clothing designs are very limited in this part of the world. However, turbans are very much a part of every household. Turbans are made from leftover linens and rolled into different patterns. One Arab recently was forced to resign from the Ku Klux Klan because his bedsheet was stolen for use as a turban. The most popular book in the schools, according to a survey made at PS 97, Chase Manhattan branch, was called The Sexual Urge from 6 to 10, and the sequel of the book recently issued for advanced students is called The Sexual Urge from 10 to Midnight. Among other things, the book discusses the problems of sex before the wedding. The Arab tradition makes it possible as long as it doesn't interfere with the ceremony. In building, Arab architecture is world famous. One architect recently took a mountain in the desert and turned it inside out to make a hotel out of it and named it after its owner, Caliph Hilton. Geographic regions have made it possible to divide Arabia into upper and lower basin streets. Thus far, the Arabs have imported 6 million tons of sand and 5,000 palm trees to Miami Beach and other beaches on the coastline of the United States. They are also famous for sand script, sand flies, sand fleas, sand hogs, sand dunes, and sand traps. However, they do have ancient plant life. One Arab scientist, Ali Hashish, made a very interesting observation that by rubbing 2 pollen specimens together, you could get hay fever. The problem of womanhood in date country is adequate. Many Arab girls have gone on to reap fame and fortune after appearing in National Geographic magazine. Most recently, Sally Sphinx had a featured part in a Hollywood film where they used camels instead of horses. She also was selected as Queen of the Kumquat Festival. Many camels have taken medical tests, and it has been found that 99 out of 100 camels do not smoke doctors. Now we have not any more time for today's discussion. That is, there is going to be a fire drill in the desert. Bring your canteens. That's all for today. Class dismissed.